other way around, they pay 80, we pay 80 and they pay 20. On this particular project, it's, and this has been, that policy's been good for us because we have, when this is done at the middle or end of next year, I think all of the state routes in Galion have been resurfaced in the last 8 years or 9 years. So that's, I think we've done well under that policy. This one is one that, you know, there are people who are not, who have questions about the annexation of 61 out to Route 30 and 309 out to the airport, those big annexations. This is told you so material because in order, we now have to pay, I believe the second time, we've asked ODOT to confirm, but this time, I think it says 573,000, is that what it says in that consent legislation? Yeah. So that's our share of this project, without going, again, too deep into the woods. And this spec is back here, actually, section 3 on this thing. I think that gives you the breakout, which I used to know 100% exactly and need some help. On this project, just a couple of other things. The curb ramps and catch basins. Ken was talking about catch basins a little bit, and some complaints on some of our residential streets. Whether we want to replace, lift, how we want to handle the catch basins. So that's it's not part of this legislation, but it will likely add to the cost. So maybe too much back. The proposition is for us to commit to ODOT this 500 and some thousand plus, is it 12 or 18 for construction inspections? 12. So that's our share of inspecting the project. ODOT will inspect it. It's good. This project not only involves our stuff, but if you look at the ODOT project, it's bigger than just the city of Galion. This is just our portion of that. I think they go at least to 314 on 309. So, and if I'm not mistaken, up into Crestline.
What's the pictures?
Yeah.
So this
Oh,
happened
okay,
in 2023. Okay.
And so they're needing us to commit to our local share at this point. The wise guy, wise gal question might be, well, where are you going to come up with that? And I think the answer is a couple of places. None of the money has been locked in or committed, but a couple of places. Our issue one, that annual allocation of money is usually committed to stormwater projects that over the past 5 or 7 years have been going out east towards the numbered streets. There was a question last night about the improvement of the drainage out there. That's what we've been, that master plan, if you will, was set in place before the change of back to Mayor Oriole. So we just continued that plan. Next year, when it comes in, we would commit to that later this year. We may want to consider using some of our money that there's a set aside. Again, that's issue one, Public Works. Too much detail for tonight, but we've been getting about 180,000 annually. The state doesn't let you earmark it per capita, but it kind of works out that way. The cities have been, and county have been really good about sharing it. So we'll probably have about 180,000. That might be, that's the easiest chunk of money to allocate. And then the other simple answer is next year's gas tax money needs to be a large part allocated. So Ken, you're on finance. We'll have to keep you know, sort of a mental note that as the 23 budgets being put together, that we remember that we committed some amount, and by the end of the year, we'll have to work out for that 500, again, I think it's what, 570?
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Sounds okay.
So, it's not 570, it's 537? Well, that seems so much better. So, I know that's a lot of information, I didn't mean to over-answer it, but I'd go out and drive it. I can rattle on forever. I'd go out and drive it. You'll scratch your head. What be prepared to think, and the citizen, I don't want to say this would be controversial, but we may hear from those people who like to offer opinions that, well, that's not that bad out there. You know, I don't know, out there at Gencor, it's not as bad as it is on Parsons Street down there by Bodkin's business. You know, you're going to hear that, I think, and that's probably true. But this is ODOT goes, you know, they have a around the district fixing worst to first, and this is, if you will, our turn. So while we'll have to put up $500,000, I think the total project is over 2, I believe. So ODOT has a large share of this. So anyways, that's a little bit confusing. All I'm doing is anticipating the kinds of questions that you'll get between now and the time. So what I'd like to do is vote this out. The money, we won't have to certify the funds until next year, and we won't have to actually commit the funds to ODOT until next year's budget.
We just need to make a move to say that we are interested in this project.
Yeah, I think is it, Julie, if you'll help me, is that consent legislation?
It's called preliminary legislation.
Yeah.
So then we'll actually have more I think that's called the consent legislation later.
That's right.
We just have to say that we are interested and want to see this to move forward a little bit. That's what, you have anything to say about this?
I do not.
Here, okay. Is Eric allowed in on this?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Do you have anything to say? We don't know about it yet.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if any kind of state's gonna pay 75% of something, that we're gonna, you know.
What for that?
Yeah, routine maintenance especially, you know, it's gotta be done at some point.
I have one question.
With a discount.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the annexation. It's one of those things I was talking about that as it relates to the size of the water line, the lack of
Right.
usage.
Right.
That fight's over.
Is there ever such a thing as the manholes can be moved over to the double strip on some streets just to try it and see what it thinks about? Or is that too much extra money? I know it's not gonna be cheap. They ain't gonna move it. We have to move it.
Oh, well, I'm
You know, so we get some of those out of the middle of the street, and you have a bunker you go through. You never know where they're gonna sink. You don't know if the pipe breaks or the ground gets wet or whatever.
Ken, I don't disagree. I don't, if you're talking about, say, the residential parts of
Yeah,
town,
anything.
let's just pull a street out of Carmen.
Yeah.
The person that talked to me is in that neighborhood
Yeah.
about the uneven. The problem about moving them, though, if you think in your mind's eye, is the Devil Strip is where you'll find all of the routes.
Right.
So you're going to put what's good about the right of way is that they're, you know, it's relatively free of routes, so you don't have that invasion.
Well,
So that
that it's all moved to the sides, like the curb side, if we had a curb, that's
Yeah.
where they're at there. I kinda like that.
If we build when we build a new street out there north of Brant Road, we'll keep that in mind, okay?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Any other questions? I know that's
I don't know.
a one vote short issue we won't get into. It's not on the agenda either. But anyways,
Well, let's see.
that's
Discussion items, but what would you like to hear from us as far as making sure we just say that goes forward? The urban paving project, that Merrill
Because even if
heard?
it doesn't look so bad right now, like you said, some people will come and say, well, that doesn't look very bad there, this is next year.
Yeah,
Right, it's
So
not
we don't
now.
know what
Yeah.
next year.
It's over a year from now, you got another, winter.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we, we put up with it probably longer than ODOT would. So it's, it's our turn.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. If you said, well, what if we asked them to bump it a year? I will, I think beyond, they already did scoping, so they came up with the cost. They've got some time in. I don't think they'd be happy about it. I don't know if we'd lose our place in line in 24. I'll ask that before. I still want to do it, but if it could be moved to 24, it'd be nice to know that prior to.
Can we not do anything about this tonight?
No, I want to get it done, Ken.
You wanna get it?
Yeah. I
So
don't
you
want to
can
sink
still
my own
amend it,
ship.
we've done it before.
We can do
Even
that,
after
okay.
they change to move to 24,
Yeah.
they just send us
Okay.
an amendment,
Okay.
and we just approve that.
We could withdraw it too. If they say, yeah, go ahead and slip is the ODOT term. Go ahead and slip it to 24.
Okay, how do you want me to say that? Are you okay with going?
Yeah, it's
okay?
got an ordinance number, it's 2022-22, so if you guys would move that out. Somebody makes a motion to move that to full council, is what you need.
So I will make that motion to move that to full council, the ordinance 2022-22.
2022-22?
Yeah, it's on,
Okay.
It's on the top of the.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm sorry. I'll second that motion. And all in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Okay.
We're down to other business.
Other business.
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. I don't want to overload with information, but last week we had a couple of change orders on the 598 project. They both had to do with drainage structures. They came from the contractor. That doesn't make it bad. They were actually ODOT called. The boss of the guy running the project, ODOT called and said, hey, issue was repairing catch basins. I don't know if that's new. They're brick catch basins out there, into which a pipe flows and then it flows out into the common sewer. The project that they bid repaired the catch basins. They are recommending to replace the catch basin at a difference of $36,000.
How many have they changed?
I think they're 8 or 9.
Okay. That's probably a solid concrete.
Yeah, it is. It'll be precast at the end there. The repairing on the down, it'd be cheaper to just repair them. But 3-4 years into this, the repair wasn't so good of a repair. And you start to have a ponding issue, wet that catch basin off the side of the road. It's all outside the roadway we're using that. So we had that one, and then there is down at the south end of the project, there was a connection where they're supposed to replace and there's a big difference in elevation in the outlet, and so they're gonna have to put new pipe in. I don't know. Cliche would be you gotta build it right. There's build it per plan, the heck with it, and there's because of cost, and then there's building it right. So there's both stormwater. I don't think it'll affect the street component. We'll fund that change order out of 608. It's a stormwater issue. So that's how that will be funded. But I wanted to let you know they're two separate ones.
Yeah, you started to mention this too
Right.
tonight. And
Yeah, and
Just got away from it.
as I think a little bit about it, just that's to let you know. I want to check about the need for councilmatic action. because they came in separately. And a suspicious mind like mine might well say, well, they separated, they're the same thing. So we may want to look at it that way, which will require councilmatic action on that, because it'll be over 50 grand.
That doesn't have a lift station between them two
No,
elevations. It just
no,
got changed the pipe.
It's all stored, no, it all has, positive drainage.
It flows in here.
That flows back as far as it does back into that swamp. It's between Palmyra and Tom Sauter's house is where this needs to, the outlet needs to be. So that's information. If it turns out, as I do a little bit more review, that we really need to get council's permission for those change orders, I'll get back to you and we'll have what would be legislation that need to be voted on. I don't think that's required. The money on that will come, we'll see the cost come at the end of the project, when they settle out the project.
We don't have to pay that right there on the spot, though.
No,
Okay.
but we know it's out there and
We
we're
know
gonna
it's
have to pay
coming.
it.
Yeah, no, it's coming. Okay.
So the message was, first part of this week is let's look at this project and anticipate where we may have other change orders or delays. So we're working on that. I don't like it when the contractor and the ODOT, who is administering the project, come to us with change orders like that. We ought, I'm hoping we can see them coming. Give me another minute on that. I talked late this afternoon with the guy who designed the project about the same subject to try to get out ahead of it. My next worry on this one is a lot of old pavement out there, and when they go to pop the top off, mill it down, there may be some bad spots. He said they core every 500 feet. It's pretty dense, but there, in between you could have some soft areas that we need undercut or cement stabilized. Talked about that. There appears to be enough quantities, that's how they bid it, to do a lot of undercutting out there if need be. So it won't be that it's not, and they don't bill you if they don't undercut. Which is another issue of inspection. We need to make sure that ODOT doesn't get undercut crazy. But those situations are the ones that are really judgment calls. Because if you don't undercut it, then it'll be wet chronically. And 20 years from now, the naysayers will, well, if they'd undercut that, fix the base, you wouldn't have that problem. So I'm real sensitive about that. We have done a lot of base replacement on the rest of Portland Way, from the railroad tracks all the way up, we've done base stabilization.
So can I ask, when ODOT is out there doing that, and
Yeah.
you said they do most of the inspections, can our guys be out there too to see things, or is that a no?
It's, I think I want Andy out there a lot. I don't think our staff is, trained or has a experienced eye at looking at what they need to. I think our superintendent does.
I mean, I don't mean like full-time out there, just kind of like, freezing.
We had a person who did a real good job for us for a few years, and she is double retired, was retired from ODOT, and she was awesome on paving jobs and pretty good on construction jobs. We don't have, if we didn't have ODOT, we'd be hiring an engineering firm, and that can be kind of pricey.
Yeah.
There's no good answer to that, other than, that we can be out there, and that was my message. Let's be a little more proactive. Let's not have the broken window brought to us. Let's anticipate that. So, this project, they're gonna inspect it. The one we actually had on it, they're gonna inspect that. And our share is 18,000. They'll pay an ODOT, maybe too much here, but they'll pay an ODOT person, and they'll use federal funds to pay that person. It's the way ODOT uses to cover their overhead inspection. It's a good business practice. Anyway, I don't know I think this is the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to have ODOT responsible for the contract, letting the contract, not betting's not very, but looking at the bids to see who the best bidder was, lowest bidder, and then have them administer it. The little stuff, I'm pretty confident. We're speccing out our little paving project, this resurfacing, and we're inspecting that. A few years ago, we had the two things. One, McKeever did the design on that, drew up the plans. That wasn't necessary. And then he would be responsible for inspecting the project, which is maybe the best practice. We had the designer inspect their own work.
Do they go the inspection in with the design?
Yeah, they did. They were. If you go back, you would see they were billing for both inspection, design, and then inspection. So, give me one more second if we got it, if you will.
Go ahead.
We were talking about this a little bit beforehand. We don't pay anyone to be at the plant. That when our trucks come in for our paving, that we're sure that we're getting what was specified. There's a person who does that, it's a female, and she's respected or feared by the industry. When she shows up, you're pretty sure that you're gonna get what you spec'd and paid for. And we've not done that, and so I think our pavers end up getting what they get out of the plant. So I'll probably get barked at by Shelley and Sands or whatever it is, and Cozy produce much of the asphalt.
Right.
Anyway, so we're gonna have an inspector out there on our little $300,000 paving project, just to make sure we get it. We've had, maybe you haven't, nobody's pointed or mentioned that to you, but there's some of the problems with the manholes that Ken was talking about is they have real cold and not very rubbery's not the right word, not very elastic product that they put down, and so so sorry to get too far off, but we're going to try to improve that practice of making sure we get what we're ordering. ODOT has someone there now when we're in the sense of the 598 project and then this urban paving, we're going to trust them to do the inspection. Is Mark Triplett on there? Because he'll tell you, well, last time, not real happy with the inspection of the Harding Way
It
project.
doesn't say he's in.
Yeah, that really wasn't a good, it's an urban paving project, and there's a little bit of dissatisfaction about that. But there's not much you can do about it. All right, no.
Is that about it?
Oh, I could talk about roadways. I love it. Maybe that's the only thing.
Can I mention this real
You sure can.
So I'm gonna pass this out. Mr. Roger Petrella, I talked to him today. He wrote some letters to you. I made copies for everybody, but our alley, obviously, between Union and Market Street, he's concerned about. So he gave us a list of trucks that come through here that he believes could be causing some of the issue. And he said that he also provided maybe some thoughts on what we could do to fix it. And I know that it's not on the agenda tonight, so I don't want to do like a huge discussion of this, but I just wanted to pass this out so everybody can kind of take a look at it, just kind of hear him out from his letters here. So I made copies and brought those with me.
I'm absolutely aware of some of the trucks. It's the only body shop in town, isn't it? Pipers, isn't that the about
Yes.
the only? So man, we gotta hug him and
Take care of it.
take care of him. So that's one of the businesses.
Yes.
Here's a suggestion I hadn't thought of until, remember we named that alley, Ken?
Yeah. Yes.
if we set we don't have any systematic or even haphazard way to address paving of alleys, but we do have a little bit of a hierarchy in that some alleys are named. You can all think Booth Drive up in the north side, Zimmerman, Gunther Court. There's a street green that's between Richardson and a little
Wiggs
street
Court.
off of that. Wiggs Court. I don't think this one is a named alley.
Okay.
If what we said was we're gonna either in a real formula way, certain percentage of our paving will go to named alleys, certain to, which is something we could do. Then you could start addressing named alleys. So this is an unnamed alley. It's almost a free-for-all. So I don't know, I'm really absolutely aware of this.
Okay. I mean, it is bad because I drive it because I
Oh,
live
it's
there.
terrible.
But like, if I try to get over on one side or the other, I'm like rubbing trees on my car. But I told him I would bring this, so I just wanted to be an honest councilwoman.
I
Said I would
brought
do
it.
it, I did it. I brought this so that everyone could take a look at it and, see what.
I think everybody agrees, everybody likes him, everybody likes using their names, I see them up for the most part. The reason we have fixed it, but it's not a permanent fix. I think we dragged it and maybe tarred it.
I know
Didn't
one
last
year
very
they
long.
put rocks
Yeah,
there,
they
but
did.
then when it snowed and the snowplow come through, that wipes most of that out. Because they don't know how far down, they're just trying to scrape that snow off, so.
Absolutely. So it is a keep fixing it issue. I don't think that's satisfactory. I can think there was a committee meeting or a council meeting Doug Osborne came to
Yes.
recently.
Mhm.
He lives,
Park, right near Park Road.
Park and, Summit and right in there. Actually, his beef is between, is between, Erie and Walker.
Oh, so wasn't it between 250 and 252?
Yeah, so it's Erie and Walker, just beyond Park. And he's right, people come the south end of Park, instead of going to the Y and making that turn, they just shoot down Walker, and it isn't good either. It's really, you have to use a surveyor to determine where the alley is. And I don't know this one, if you really wanted to find out where the alley was. I'm deviating, and here I go again, but there's some other people with chronic alley issues, and we go out there and identify with spikes where the alley is, and the alley is in their backyard, or in some cases, the alley's pushed way out, and so, with Roger, I'd name the alley. That's what I do, from,
How do we go about doing that? Naming the alley?
just like we did. Just like Ken
That'd be-
did. Now,
Simple.
then, if you back that up with, we are going to address named alleys, because they're named because there's addresses on them, and this one's not the only one with a lot of commercial traffic. So,
I explained
That's
to
what I
Elizabeth
would
Evans that she's not getting that paved.
I mean, if you created a and then all you have to do is rate and rank them. For condition, we wouldn't, but we have some, I didn't think you need an engineer, have street department superintendent sort of rank them.
Yeah.
The other things we're doing is measuring daily traffic. And so that the alleys that have more daily traffic would score higher.
Yeah.
But that's we hear this every year, and with Petrell, it's like, man, how many times are you gonna tell him what a wonderful dog he has, but no. He doesn't have it anymore?
His dog passed away.
Did it? I saw him just walking the other day.
He said that, something about,
That's really sad.
a raccoon got in his yard and had some sort of, disease and like messed in his yard, and his dog ended up stepping in it or something.
Another dog, the same thing.
Listeria, whatever.
The golden retriever,
Yeah.
and, it spread the infection to the dog, and the dog passed away.
That really, I just saw him the other day. He must have a new one, because I saw him walking.
I'm not sure, because my husband said something about, where's your dog? We always see you with your dog out here, and he said my dog passed away.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't know.
How did his
I know
foot,
he had two, but
will you ask him if his foot and his mouth tastes as bad as mine tasted in mine? I was like, I didn't know that. That makes you feel bad, because you spent a lot of time together. Well, anyways.
yeah.
we ain't
He's
gonna
a
get
nice
too
guy, he
much.
keeps our alleys and.
There's no question about that. And he's sincere about it, but there are a bunch of other ones. Osborne's just another person. And we've done an excellent job of systematically turning our hearing aids down. We hear the complaint, but we've never really acted on it. That's what I mean by that. It's valid, it's ignored. It seems like that.
Would there be a procedure, Tom, that you have to do to say, we'd like to name this alley? Is there a procedure? Would we
Not especially, that
have
might
to go to Mr. Bonner?
Yeah, now Richard's committee might say, well, that's an interesting way to jump a line that we don't even have yet, but I think that is logically how you could go about
It needs to go
rating
planning,
and ranking.
commission, and, yeah, public hearing, yeah, all that.
But I don't want to stay all night, but I do love this stuff. A problem with the alleys is that the cost per foot, let's say you want to leave them tarred and chipped. They've never been paid. They've had gravel and one thing or another. Where you would, tar and chip them, which some people, I don't want that, that's dusty and it makes my tires sink, but it gives you a more permanent surface. The problem with putting a chip seal is if you don't have a good base, it's a goof. So you probably have to put down some sort of Irish engineered base and then put the surface on it. Because the putting asphalt down would be an unmitigated disaster, because the base wouldn't just. So if we fix it right, you put down limestone and then put asphalt on top of it, we'd be shocked at how much that it costs a mile. So we'd be the city paving alleys at $1 million a mile while other streets don't have the money. So, one other thing. We could consider using some general fund money on a consistent basis for alleys. Just say of the $5 million, $4 million we're spending in the general fund, we're gonna spend 1% on alleys. Not a lot, but that kind of thing, so that you have a steady flow, so you can say, yeah, Roger, there is a list and there's money behind it, and alleys are gonna get annual attention. That's something to think about, and then think about implementing.
I watched them do culverts over there at their shop on Parsons.
Yeah,
Somebody came in, they graded it, they rolled it, they rolled it, they graded it, they rolled it, and then they tar and chipped it, and that's holy. Really a nice job. And they got trucks coming in there all the time.
I'm in favor of it.
It's really not bad. It's not perfect.
I'm done.
I'm not gonna get goofy, I'm not being snarky. I'm trying to keep some humor to this. But I think, and my granddaughter, when I was talking about the surface at the splash park, she said, yeah, don't you remember I hurt my knee at my birthday party? So I've got that. I really want to do that, okay? So I know maybe that didn't come through last night, and purchasing the right way is the thing. I really want to address the alleys as the connecting point. But we've got to somehow attach some money to it so that we can go about doing it. And it's if this would help committee and council generally, we could do a estimate of how much, per linear foot it would cost to redo the base and an estimate on what cost the surface or driving course would cost. We could get a cost per mile of alleys. That might be a good place to start. You know, I think we would find it easily in the millions of dollars getting alleys so that they were more passable or whatever. So we can do that. So I think I hope I made that connection about, I really want to do that. I think there is an issue there, we need to find the money to do that. And
My
same
thing
with
with the
alleys.
splash pad was, like I said, I don't take my little brother anymore, but, because we go to the pool and I don't want to play and getting there so much, but I've been there when there's a lot of little kids there, and you can't tell these little kids to walk, and they're all bumping into each other, and they're all falling, and, I mean, you're scraping everything, and there's only, so much you can do, but.
Well, I know the connecting point. You could tell I kind of lost my train of thought. I was panicking for a second. Here's the connecting thought. Most of those alleys will be chip sealed. And when I grew, my street was always chip sealed. And the older you are, the more, I think, acceptable to it. But you're gonna have kids fall off their bike if we chip seal alleys, and then we'll hear about that. So I don't think.
If their bikes are older, they can handle it.
Right, I don't think we'll ever, if we commit to a alley renovation program, renewal program, I'll check back my memory like it should be. We put a lot of man hours into that one summer and a lot of materials. I'll get you those
Yeah, I don't
dollars
mind
that
the
we
chip seal as
spent.
long as my car's not going,
Yeah,
Chip
So-
seal's pretty good, really.
Yeah.
if you have a good
Done right.
base.
Done
If you have
right.
good, yeah, you have to have a good base, so that's, if we decide to spend, let's just make up a number, $250,000 a year on alleys. Might take that, and
Just
put a
one
dent
alley.
in it.
Yeah.
Then we need to know how far that would get us. Committing to $250,000 when you have $3 million of need is that's probably not enough. But anyway,
How many miles of named alleys?
I don't
know.
that's a really good question.
That's something we would, I think would be. good.
Matt, we'll put Matt on the research on that one, because I think you need to quantify it. But I think all the way back to Mr. Petrella, I think that is, I think if we ever go at alleys systematically, we're for certain gonna go the named alleys first. If Julie may remember, there was it was 4 years ago, we paved the alleys behind Harding Way on both sides. So that was the same year we did a bunch of residential alleys, a bunch, whatever that means. But we spent a lot of money on paving those alleys. They had more of a base.
Yeah. Yeah, you have garbage trucks and everything that need to go back through there and everything,
The
so.
delivery vehicles too.
Garbage trucks didn't weigh 7 million pounds, would they all right?
If you didn't keep throwing out all your garbage, they wouldn't be heavy at all.
Yeah, you do all.
So I think that is a factor, that when you put money into how or whether you restrict large commercial vehicles, we'll get into that. And that'll be something, that the people who want to be able to take trucks down there don't want to be restricted from that. So if you don't do the base and you just put some gravel in, you're gonna be back to where you were, so
Well, I don't
And
really
residents
golf.
and the
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the residents and the commercial businesses don't want those restrictions either sometimes, so.
they don't at all.
Yeah.
We had that when there was a battle between people going down alleys and cutting people's, commercial trucks going down alleys, and certain of the vendors in the community said, "Man, you put your stuff out front." So we had because their trucks was too big to go down the alleys, basically what it was. So.
But not all companies, I don't believe, have the luxury of having a town truck. It's real tiny, like.
Well, anyway,
It's half the size of what you got now.
so
It's hard to
It's not
keep costs down.
economically, it's not wise to do it.
what do you want me to do with this? You want me to begin pulling some data and then come back next month, put it on your agenda and further the discussion?
I believe so.
We're not gonna have a gigantic paving program anyway this year, it just doesn't look that way.
Would, Nikki look into this tar and chip stuff, or would we?
Yeah, I'll talk to Andy, we'll talk to Andy about it.
I had that Louis, I'm gonna see him this week and say, give us an estimate.
We
How
know,
much?
yeah.
How much to put?
Yes,
You know, how much to put?
yeah,
Well.
I know people who live in the city, we'll hear from them. Well, I moved out from the country because I didn't like chip seal.
Yeah.
I heard that, it's almost 8 around. And ODOT did that right before I left. They took the 3-digit routes, the 598s, 602s of the world, and they chip sealed those, if you remember. 602?
Yep.
Just a few years ago. Wow.
I remember
That was kind of a colossal mess, and then they resurfaced it a few years after that. That's a really good pavement strategy, but we don't have that kind of money, and we're not that sophisticated. You chip seal it, get 4, 5, 7 years out of that, and then you come back over, because then you have a base to put the asphalt on. So when you go to chip seal, it's real important. We found that out, but I think in Galleon, if you started chip sealing Wildflower, or let's see, where else? Essenhauer, or pick a street,
We're
Then
not
you
more.
you would hear, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. And it's better than the total ignoring. So that's a good part. I thought we got into this a little bit. Thanks,
Yeah, it creates a
Roger.
flat surface.
Huh?
It creates the flat surface that I think most people are looking for.
Yep. Then the stop and the driving all over, so you lose your right of way. Okay.
Well, is that all you have, Tom?
Yeah, I love to talk highways. But anyways, I got it. This is, all right, I'm on it. Thank you for putting that in front of council.
Well, the only one I had was thinking about South Street, but that is really travel.
It's terrible.
That is heavy traffic down there, my golly. That's gonna have to have something done, that's for sure. It'll never make it another year and be real nice. It's bad now. What are you gonna do?
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
a lot of traffic.
Comes next gen bashing. Becoming a liberal Democrat. That's why they tell me at my house. No, that road really took a beating that year and a half they were back there at the old crane plant. Because there was a distribution center. There were trucks going back to that tenant. The section, and so we have, we're like a kid that likes to do some homework and not others. We paved the easy part of South Street. That didn't make you happy?
Sort of.
So we went to Wood, and the cost, I dig it out, the cost to go from Dawson
Yeah.
to Wood Street was,
Yeah.
well, because it has to be fully milled, and then there's a bunch of base issues that you get into. You couldn't just overlay it with a couple inches of asphalt, and you'd feel good about that for about 60 days, and then start breaking up because of heavy traffic. So you're gonna have to get that milled down, get a good base, and then put enough asphalt on there to last. That could take half of our paving budget. We have a number on that because we cut it out. We didn't have enough money, so it's, sometimes easy to cut the skinny kid that can't play the sport anyway to the fat kid that can't run. Well, it's easy to cut them. That street that was easy to cut that one. It was just, I don't think it's got any better yet. So just that one block. It's another thing I'll need to remember. I'll shoot that out to you, what we had in that estimate and why we cut it.
Okay,
It seems like it was
well, we gotta think about
3
it.
years ago. It might have been 3 years. It was right after Next Gen left out there, and it gets intense truck traffic.
Yeah,
So, what they have back there now, grinding operation,
Tire grinding, that's a mess. That is a mess.
different subject.
You don't wanna drive your car around the building.
No, it's really, we have a lot of
Flat
issues.
tire maybe before you get done.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of issues.
A lot of wire.
Joe Haley, I think is his name, lives on Richardson,
Yes.
Patrick House. He's had problems with it, so it's really, it's ongoing. Anyway, yeah, Ken, you're right, that is,
That's just one to think about, whether we do anything.
you get south of Parsons, it's okay. It's okay. So, our strategy is pave the worst segment and tell everybody what a great job you're doing. That's our motto.
Well, I believe we've had a pretty good meeting
Yeah.
tonight, talked a little bit, know a little bit of what's going on, but thank you for being here, Eric, Terry, Mayor, Julie Bell naturally does her job, and I thank you very much. Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Next meeting date first, April 14th, 7.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, and I'll second that.
8:04.
Thank you.
I am so sorry again, honestly. I knew my meeting today, and I